Hey guys, welcome back. bjthebrave here, and today I've got a spicy deck for you. This month I am diving deep into the Orks ever since the expansion. We bought all the new cards. I decided not to go for the cosmetics purchase if anyone's interested this month, but I did get all the new cards, so that's enabled me to basically start play testing and obviously practicing and building, bringing some good content and some lots of new Orky decks for you guys this month. So I've got loads of decks to come, but I really want to share this one with you today. This is my Ghazghkull, and guys, Ghazghkull is back in a big way. I'm going to walk you through the deck list and what we're trying to achieve as always, and then guys, I have got 3 games for you at the end of this that are the 3 of the best, spiciest games you'll ever see in your life, and they are absolutely brilliant for showcasing this deck. Slightly different elements of the way it can play, but 3 fantastic games. So whatever you do, don't miss the games that are going to follow. As ever, I always ask, if you do like the content and love what we're doing here, then please like and please subscribe to the channel. Trying to get ourselves up to 1,000 subscriber mark at the minute. We started streaming back in November, and I've had tons of support from everyone, so thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed so far. Okay, so let's dive on into the deck itself. Okay, so here is the Ghazghkull. First of all, want to give a shout out to my friend Cube-Catten. Him and I have always gone back and forth on kind of like Ork decks for months now, pretty much, and he's someone I just kind of like really enjoy, like his deck building and kind of like seeing his kind of thought process in the Orks. I think he's a really good player. He doesn't get to play probably as much as he'd like, but he always makes top 50, so shout out to Cube-Catten. So yeah, he gave me the idea for this and kind of like changed a few cards and everything, but overall I am really happy with this deck. It is fantastic, and I've played against top players and top meta decks as well, and it's performing really well. So what are we trying to do? Well, the first thing is that this is a deck that can actually win the game on fatigue. So that's right, boys. Warpforge has arrived at the mill deck, at the kind of control deck that can finally mill somebody and win on fatigue, and it's really fun. It's really fun to play, like really fun, guys. So I don't want to spoil the games, but wait till you see what's following. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, Ghazghkull, as you know, has 40 health. So of all the Ork war bosses, and by the way, I will be bringing you a control deck for all 3 of the war bosses this month. But for Ghazghkull, he has 40 health, so he is more able to kind of last, if you like. But the problem that he's got, unlike Grukk, for example, is that he can't draw cards. So because of that, we do run, and they are essential, 2 Tide of Muscles in this deck. Now, Tide of Muscle says draw 2 troops from your deck and give them +1. I actually think it's a really good card, particularly in this deck, and mainly because it does say troops. So not only does that draw you troops, so for example you might need Makari, and if you know you might be in the middle of the game, you're more likely to get him, that type of thing, or you might need a flanker and you're more likely to get it. But the other thing is that it's also thinning your deck, right? So it's not just thinning your deck, it's thinning your deck of troops, which means you're then more likely to draw your stratagems in the main draw, which gives you, like, you know, your hard removal and stuff. So this is how we get around the kind of card draw problem, and often I will keep this in the mulligan and will often just play it on E3, which is like turn 2 in this game, to kind of fill your hand. So what have we got? We have, obviously we're running Makari, and what we're trying to do with this is essentially just basically never attack face with Ghazghkull, and only use Ghazghkull really for removal, and just outlast our opponent. That's basically how we win. So in order to help us do that, in the early game we've got things like the Gretchin Mob. Obviously we use Ghazghkull to just kind of like put out a little grot, which means that the enemy lord is having to remove that, which means you're not losing health, right? So this is all about health in this deck and preserving health. So then we have the Prophet of the War, obviously just a Swiss Army knife, because we have lots of stratagems, and this enables you to kind of find the actual stratagem that you most need at the time. So then we have the spanners. Now, you might think the spanners look a little bit odd in this because we don't have a lot of vehicles, but honestly the main thing with the spanner in this, sometimes we get a vehicle synergy off, but it's mainly to give us more AoE. So we do run the double spanner and double burner boy package, and honestly guys, it's really good, to the point that actually it's not uncommon that you can play this quite late in the game and play double burner boy. Feels a bit like an Eldritch Storm type of job. Really powerful, and often again if you're playing it kind of like, obviously you can do that as early as turn 7, but if you're playing it really late game, you can kind of drop those and then use Ghazghkull's hero power, and you've actually got a pretty beefy board as well, which your opponent's suddenly got to deal with. So really good combination in this deck, and it gives us yet more AoE, especially when players are trying to draw out things like your Will of Gorks, which we obviously run double Will of Gork for hard removal, and we run the double No Mukkin About for hard removal. But you've got to be thoughtful about when to use that. So having that Burner Boy Spanner Camp combo just gives us more removal without having to go into the hard removal. We've already talked about Tide and Muscle. Of course, we run 2 Warbikers. Often in this deck, guys, we're using Warbiker as removal. So I know if you've played a lot of Orks in the past, you'll kind of probably think of this more like a finisher. We can obviously do that still, and there are definitely games where, you know, you will bring this guy out with Makari, use Ghazghkull's power, and he's like a 6 attack, and then Ghazghkull attacks for 3 with Makari, and that gives you 9 reach, so you have still got some reach. But honestly, don't be scared to use Warbiker for removal. It is, I would say, 80% a removal card in this game, 20% maybe for like a finisher. What else we got? So we got the heal package, so we go with the double the Irongob. Now obviously think about a couple of things with Irongob. It is sometimes finding the right time to play it. Turn 4 can be a turn to do it if you're going up against super aggro, and you've already lost a lot of health, but often I don't play it on turn 4. Also think about, like, they're trying to make good use of concussive, because that can be a real tactic with the deck sometimes. It's not always just about the health. And the other thing that we are playing is the new card Grizzled Scarboy, giving Ghazghkull armor. Now one of the things that is pretty cool is to Grizzled Scarboy first and then use Irongob afterwards, because that 5 health then is actually worth more than 5 health, because you've got the armor, it's almost like 10 health. It's even probably better than that. So trying to Irongob after Scarboy is not a bad tactic. Sometimes I even keep a Grizzled Scarboy in my mulligan hand, depending on the matchup. If it's not like too fast, too much aggro coming at me, then sometimes I even do that just so that I can get that order in right. So we've got double Irongob and double Scarboy, and then completing the heal package, we have the new Boss Nob. Now, for those of you who've been watching my stream, I think this is the best card in the new expansion. That's just my opinion. I've run it in a range of decks, not just control decks, tempo decks. I find this card to be superb value. Like, I'm easily getting good value. It's so rare that I don't get any value from this, and quite frankly, even if you just play it as a 5-drop, you know, it actually has pretty decent stats. So worst case scenario, you're playing, you know, a 5 melee, 3 range, 6 health unit on turn 5. That's worst case scenario. More likely, you're at least triggering that health once, and remember, it does say units, not troops, so of course you want to be trying to put this next to Ghazghkull to keep healing him, and this guy can really go off. I mean, I've had some serious value from this card, so we run 2 of those. What else have we got? Well, of course we run the Ork Nob, and you believe it or not, guys, I've done things like playing on turn 11, playing like Ork Nob into Ardshell. But if we need Ork Nob obviously on turn 4 for that emergency flank, it's fine to do that. You know, you don't have to sort of do anything fancy in comboing him. You can do all sorts of stuff like playing with Gretchin Mob, or it just depends how late in the game. Like I said, we will get into late game with this, so you can definitely pull off some good combos, but he's mainly just there for his early game kind of flank. We do run a Skorcha Assault. Now, if you're missing any cards from this deck, I would probably recommend putting a second Skorcha Assault. I know Cube Captain runs 2 Skorcha Assaults. I dropped one of them to put the second boss nob in, so I think he just runs 1. But it's completely up to you if you want to run the extra Skorcha Assault. He does give you, particularly if you're playing a lot of Eldar, I think Skorcha Assault's really good against the Eldar. Possibly Tyranids as well. So that one's like, I'm slightly unsure, but I'm finding 1 has been absolutely fine for me so far. Don't forget we have got the Burner Boy, Spanner, AoE as well as the kind of hard removal, so I kind of feel like 1's enough, but I could totally see 2 working well. And like I say, if you don't have any of the cards, I would say the second Scorch Assault would be the first thing I'd put back in. So we then run, we've already talked about the boss nobs, we've talked about the Grizzled Scarboys. We do run Squigbuggies. Now, Squigbuggy is interesting because I just talked about how good this card is, but actually Squigbuggy trades really well into this card because of the 6 range attack, only taking 3 damage back. So Squigbuggy is back on the menu, boys, and yeah, doing really well in this deck. Also because Ghazghkull, again, with all the health and we're not attacking first, I'm less worried about being damaged by the explosions, especially because we don't run Snaz. Boomdacker Snazwagon, and we don't actually have much else that explodes in the deck, so we're able to run this without kind of much consequence in this deck. So once we hit the turn 6, we're really laughing because we've got a lot of flank, right? We've got the double Squigbuggy, but we've also got the double Veteran Stormboy. Even though we're not playing the Stormboys, the Vet Stormboy itself is just a fantastic, really strong 6-drop, and honestly, I absolutely love this card. I've been playing Orks now forever, and it's always been one of my favourite. It's probably my top 5 Ork cards. I really love this card. It always feels good to play, and you know, being a flyer and being able to use melee attack, like, you know, trading with things like Crimson Hunters and Doomsize almost for free. It's just so good. So we have lots and lots of flank to get us into the late game. We also run Ardshell Gurk. You just got to be careful about the turn that you play Gurk. You know, if you're slightly behind on board, you should be really considering whether you play this, because you've got to think about, has he got like hard removal? You know, is it going to be turn 8 against Eldar and they've got the stones to play Hemlock? You know, so you've got to kind of know what you're playing around with Ardshell, otherwise it can be a mistake. But other than that, it's a fantastic card, and to be honest, he's a win con in himself, because if they can't get rid of him, then he obviously wins you the game. We do run the double Will of Gork, and then finally we run the Rok Invasion. Now, Rok Invasion is pretty good. Again, it's not uncommon. I'm playing this on turn 15, believe it or not. It is a card, however, that you could drop. You know, you could put a proper Killian instead of Rok Invasion as an alternative finisher. But for me, I'm enjoying having the Rok Invasion still, and again, like things like turn 14, you can even play. I know what you're probably thinking. Turn 14, BJ. Have you played Warpforge? Guys, this deck gets to turn 14. You're going to find out. So what I would suggest is, what I'm saying is, you can even do things on turn 14 where you play like Ork Nob down and then play Rok Invasion to guarantee the Ork Nob, so that everything has flank. So I do like Rok Invasion still in this deck. It still gives you good value, and yeah. So that is the deck, boys. What we're going to do now is going to jump into 3 games. Now, the 3 games that I'm showing you, they kind of show you 3 different, I guess, aspects of it. And I don't want to spoil it too much, but what I'm talking about is, you know, we see like the way that this deck can come back pretty well from being behind. We can see how it can outlast our opponent, and we can see how it can just win with like its pure control tools. So that's kind of what you're going to see in these 3 games. Hope you enjoy them. If you do, please remember to like the video down below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you have, thank you so much for all the love and support, and yeah, let's dive into some games. $9529. So against Swarmlord, I think we take the Grot Tower. Bounding Lee. Okay. Fair enough. Swarmlord hits this kind of opening.
So much to punch, so little time.
You know the drill, son. Bit long card, sir. Do we think we get the resign after this? No Mukkin About. GG. Yeah. Okay, so up against Uriel.
I'm the hand of Gork and Mob.
Swords of Kelp, with me!
The aggro god himself. See how we get on. So we're just going to draw and not attack. I mean, by draw I mean play a Gretchin. Next turn we'll draw with Tides. Tide of Muscle. Only exception would maybe be if we drew Makari and needed it. Can't help us against that anyway. Oh, we could Gretchin Mob here. Yeah, Gretchin Mob. Storm Raven. Don't know if that's correct or not, because we might not get a chance now for a while to draw Tide.
Trust in the Emperor at the hour of battle! Yeah!
Orkz is made for two things only: fighting and winning.
Okay, so because they're stunned, I think we can Stormboy here.
Are you ready? I go boom!
I'll do that just in case we don't Will of Gork, and then I can take it out next turn with the Lord. Yeah, hero power. Okay, I think we'll just Will of Gork then. I really wish we'd used Tidal Muscle on turn 2. I think that was the main mistake in this game.
There's no hiding from Ultramar's wrath.
Come on, Makari, where are you?
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Are you ready? I go boom! You can outrun me!
So he's playing both impulses and playing one of his other fighters. What's in this shit?
Your jump packs, we strike now. We are the sons of Gilliman.
Yes, that's all I wanted to see.
Ready for fighting, boss?
Let's just not mess about. This guy doesn't trade too well with that.
The roar of our cannons herald their doom. So much to punch, so little time.
Got no way of taking this out, have I? No way of drawing into stun. Which means we're forced to make this play.
You can't beat me, kid.
To find some answers. If he's got inspired retribution, we've lost. Have I got one more turn? I don't think I have. He only needs 3. He's got 3 just with his Lord and Warlord talent. There it is. What? Oh, he didn't have it. He didn't have it. Wait. Let's do this. 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 Be the craziest game of all time. Give me the heal. Can you imagine, boys, if we've just turned this around? Can you actually imagine? Is the dream real? The dream is real, boys. The dream is real. baby, the dream is real. Cards left. We got him, boys. We got him. He's got nothing for us.
This place is no longer safe.
The place is no longer safe. Indeed. Get out of here, Uriel. Get out of here. Oh, boys. Boys, 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 boys. Do we play aggressively against Grukk? I don't think we do.
Let's get some action, boys.
It's looking like a control mirror, isn't it? At which point it's probably correct for me to go aggro now, but the only thing is... that he probably has the proper killy finish that we don't have. So he probably has a bit more range, a bit more reach than us, sorry.
Once all gets going, there ain't no stopping.
Could have actually, that was a mistake, I should have hit with Makari first. And actually would have got more. 2 extra points, that was a mistake. This guy doesn't trade well with Squigbuggy. We'll weaken that just so it dies to the bomb. Squigbuggy is actually very, very good into that card, to the new 5-drop. Then is it? So I kind of want to wait to use these after we've put the second one down then. Okay, so no spanner burner boy combo for him on turn 7. I think the dream would be boss nob here. Not that we particularly need to heal right now, but
Orkz is made for two things only. Fighting and winning.
oh, the other armor would be good as well. So I guess we've got to start chopping away at this guy now. Might actually just use the 3 just to put him back down. This is going to fatigue, isn't it? So he's got 16 cars left, so we want to make sure that we've got more cars than him. I think we might. I think if we get the other Tides card, we probably won't play it in this match. Unless we really desperately need it. Could do with finding some hard removal. I don't think we've had any yet this game. Ah, okay. Okay, so do we want to draw actually? So we've got to get rid of these, right? Maybe we do draw. I'm gonna slow play. It's a control mirror, so we're slow playing. Okay, so this board's gonna get Will of Gork. Sure. Yeah, that's a Will of Gork for sure. Okay, so this looks like a burner boy turn. And I think we'll use the hero part afterwards here. So we're gonna go spanner.
Still not working. Then I exit order.
Ah, we know we should have done that first, shouldn't we? Burner boy. Put a bit of pressure on. Have a health disparity. Oh yeah. Does he get the Ork Nob? No. Double Makari there. We know this will get Mukkin About, for sure.
Ready for fighting, boss? Ready for fighting, boss?
Might be another Mukkin About coming up here. Has he used one or two Will in a... Right, he's used two Mukkin Abouts. I can't remember how many Will of Gorks he's used. I think he's only used one, hasn't he? This is epic, boys. Epic, epic, epic. Okay, so what we can do now is put pressure on for him to use a second Will of Gork if he's got it. Okay, he's got 0 cards left. We've got 2 left. He has got 1 more Will of Gork. Then we can Rok Invasion. Uncontested. What we do is we play the Ork Nob and then menu Rok Invasion. Now obviously we could just win here, right? Because we can just play this and just win the game. I want to have some fun. So let's have some fun. Let's Rok Invasion. Do we get another knob? This guy's got a stun. Any other blast guys? Okay, so now fatigue kicks in. Deck is empty, so it takes 2 damage. I think we're just going to win on fatigue for style points. What do you think, boys? We've gone through all this, we might as well. Proper kill it. Nope, he's gonna sacrifice himself. Here we go. Nice, nice, nice. What a game, boys. Well, Warpforge, we've finally arrived at the mill decks. Welcome to the new fatigue era. So there we have it, guys. Our mill deck, our gas control. Just a couple of things to finish at the end. Just want to talk a little bit about some kind of lessons learned and a few bits around like alternative cards and things like that. So, you know, one of the things that I would say is that, you know, when you watch the gameplay, this is like a traditional control deck. This is the kind of deck I've been wanting to do since I started playing Warpforge that never really existed in the game before. The thing I've been calling Grukk control is actually technically more like a mid-range deck in that it can play a control style or an aggro style, but this is a pure control. And where you'll see that is, for example, there'll be turns where we clear the board and we don't develop something proactively, and you might think, well, that's a loss of tempo, and it's like, yeah, it is, but that's what control does. Control's not trying to play tempo. What it's trying to do is gather its resources, gather its tools, and essentially outvalue our opponent by, you know, by making essentially better trades with our tools, like 2-for-1s on each of our cards and things like that. So it's really about trying to control the board state and outlast, and especially with this deck. So if you saw my previous deck guide with Gordrang, I actually started with this Ghazghkull deck and then evolved. I tested a Gordrang version of this, but this is definitely better when it comes to trying to actually mill your opponent. What you're going to realise is that a lot of your games with this deck, if you're playing it correctly, your opponent will win or lose, often lose, with only, like I'd say they'll be down to like they're under 5 cards left if you don't manage to mill them completely like you saw in some of the games. You know, that's definitely possible, but even when you don't mill them, you've kind of got them down to like 3 cards left, you know, 2. That's very common that happens. So Ghazghkull just really has the body to outlast our opponent. The other thing when comparing it with like the Gordrang or Gordrang, sorry, or sort of Grukk versions, is Ghazghkull's ability itself. So in terms of the stratagem, it's still good to run the the Grot rigs to get like a cheaper Squigbuggy or a cheaper War Biker, but they're the only vehicles we have in the deck. So I don't really only choose one over the other. It depends what I've got in my hand. But the Grot Tower's okay in this as well. Don't forget you can Grot Tower and then use Ghazghkull's ability to immediately put 2 2s on the board, or you could kind of do a similar thing on turn 5 where you play like you play the Gretchin Mob, and then you play your tower for free, and then you use your Warlord talent, and suddenly you've got 5 2 2s on the board. So don't forget about the old Grot Tower. You know, that always worked better with Ghazghkull more than any of the others. Also, if you are playing against the Orks, then it's worth it's worth trying to go for the night fight ability, because you know we don't really have anything that's kind of like just picking on our opponent. Try to play the deck for the synergies as well, right? So you know there are a couple of times, like against Uriel aggro, where maybe I'll play a Burner Boy or I'll play a Spanner just on tempo, because the main reason for that is I'm just looking to distract them. Basically, we're just trying to preserve our health and get into the later game where we can really do something, whereas waiting for a big turn 7 or turn 8 combo we'll be dead by that point, right? So you've got to think like that. Grizzled Scarboy is absolutely fantastic in this deck. I really feel that this card is flying under the radar, and with Ghazghkull in particular, it's incredibly strong. You know, if you get to play this on turn 5, and then, so imagine playing Grizzled Scarboy turn 5, then playing the second one on turn 6, and then playing Will of Gork on turn 7, because obviously you'll have fallen behind on board, and then you Will of Gork. What are they going to do against that board state? Like, that's now just an uphill struggle for any deck in the game, and it's super powerful. So I often look to try and get Grizzled Scarboy down as early as possible, as long as you're playing reasonably and thinking, but as early as it is possible to play it, the better. And then what I find is things like your Irongobs, just obviously they just, and your Boss Nob, after you've put the Scarboy down, you're just adding more and more value to the health gains that you're getting. Speaking of Boss Nob, one of the things that, I mean, this card just continues to amaze, and one of the things that I realised is that this card doesn't say heal 1 health, it says give 1 health, right? So you can actually go above your starting health with Ghazghkull himself, and obviously with units as well, so that's just something to bear in mind. Now, in terms of alternative cards, I think you could definitely run a second Skorcha Assault. I think you could run Pyrotechnics if you've got that. I also think that you could run Ardha's Nails. That card would be fantastic, but we just simply ran out of space for it, really. So that's why it's not in here. I do think Ardha's Nails is good, but I think perhaps in this particular build you can get away with not running Ardha's Nails, to be honest. But again, if you're missing some of the cards, that's something you can do. Notice we don't run any proper killie. We're really not trying to... Our win con with this deck, we're really not trying to burst it down. In the Ghazghkull deck, you'll notice that I dropped Rok Invasion and I put a proper Killie in, because I think that as a finisher, as an end game, that works slightly better with Ghazghkull because of his hero power. So you can get a really big reach finisher and the game doesn't go on as long. But this deck, we really are playing for full out and out control. We are just outlasting our opponent. And with Ghazghkull's ability as well, in the late game, you know, many games goes like between turns 10 to 15, and what I'm finding is you play a couple of units out and then you play Ghazghkull's hero power, and it really starts to get value. Those extra +1s, those beefier bodies that you're getting every single turn, they just start to overwhelm your opponent and close the game out that way as well. So it really is a style of gameplay that I really enjoy, and I'm so glad that we finally got there with Warpforge. There aren't many other decks, if at all any. There might be a Necron build still, but there aren't many decks that can kind of take this type of approach. So just remember when you're playing it, guys, this is a pure control. It's about conserving resources. It's about getting value. It's not about playing for tempo. So I really hope you enjoyed that deck guide, and let me know in the comments what you think, and if there are any changes that you see, or think any cards that we think we might have missed that would be really good here. And also please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We've got plenty more stuff planned for the Orks this season. I'm also working on a Necron deck guide that I want to bring for you guys, and let me know if there are any other deck guides that you'd kind of quite like to see, or other content that you'd like to see, and I'll see what I can do. Alright guys, until the next one, I'll see you later.